and look at the demerger, important to understand the context of the demerger is that over the last decade, while we performed very well, it is clear we do have two different businesses within the portfolio, and the primary difference between the two businesses is size and scale. So if you like, BHP Billiton is blessed that it has a number of what we'd call gigantic tier 1 assets, particularly in iron ore, coal and copper. Most of our competitors might have one, we have three at least, probably 4 or 5 to be honest. So what actually determines the demerger has been the size and scale. So iron ore, coal, Escondina have 50 to 100 year plus lives, whereas what's in the demerger vehicle tend to be assets that are normal mine lives of about 20 to 30 years. So that's been the actual metric of how we've looked at it. It's not about commodity, it's not about geography, it's been about the scale of the assets.
Now, you're going to be the big cheese at this new entity, and yet you're going to be based in Australia. So how are you going to have the confidence that everything's operating well in your entities in South Africa and Mozambique, for example?
Well, let's maybe think about the geographic spread of the assets in the new company. There'll be about a third, if you like, based on value in South Africa. There'll be about 50% based on value in Australia, and the balance will be in South America. So when we thought about where do we put the headquarters, Perth actually gives a couple of good coverage points because it gives direct flights into South Africa, it gives direct flights to the assets in Australia, and it gives the best time zone overlap to South African assets and the Australian assets, and it is also, like Johannesburg and like South Africa, it's a resource centre for the world. So that's why we thought about Perth. But how are we going to run South Africa? Well, unlike what we do today in BHP Billiton, we're actually going to put one of our lead team or one of our group executives in South Africa who will have single point accountability for all the businesses in Africa, and they'll be mandated to run them the best they can, but they'll also be mandated to try and grow the business in Africa.
When it comes to the South African context, are there any plans for any labour restructuring at all as a result of the new entity?
Look, if you look at our operations, if you look at how they run today, there should be minimal impact. We expect no changes on employment numbers in the operations. When we look at, if you like, some of the top level corporate centre, because we're going to aggregate it under one person, there'll be some movements in that space, but they'll be minor, but they will be well and truly dwarfed by the fact that we're going to create a global shared service centre here in South Africa for all of the new company. So not just the South African businesses, but they'll provide shared services such as IT, payroll, accounts payable, globally for the whole business, and that'll create at least 200 new additional jobs. So at the operational level, no change. At the group level, you'll have the positive of those new jobs coming in place.
This year, the South African government is looking into mining houses' compliance with the mining charter. Just tell us how much the new entity will be in compliance with things like ownership, management and social labour plans when it comes to the mining charter.
Look, if you think about the new company being born, one of the things we want to try and take across from BHP Billiton to the new company is some of the core values around safety, around environmentally managing our operations the best we can. And I guess the other aspect which is critically important to us is how we interact and how we invest in the communities. So that fundamental value of BHP Billiton today will be transferred across to the Newco. And if you look at BHP Billiton today, it's fully compliant with the mining charter around empowerment, and we think that is the right thing to do for the company and for the country. Obviously we continue to work towards all the other requirements of getting, more, if you like, down that space, and Newco will commit to that as well.